Hi everyone, welcome to Ashala Yardley's YouTube channel, coming to you live, and Crystal, my lovely daughter, and I teaming up to answer your questions, look at what's in the news right now, what's going on for us personally, and so lovely to have many of you returning on a regular basis. It's super fun for us to do these live Q&As, and we always learn a lot. We saw your question, Susan, Karen Reed, and we were like, Karen Reed?
Better read up on Karen Reed.
We have our head in the clouds a lot of the time, but really we are talking about a lot of really powerful things going on in the metaphysical realities, in the astrological, in the ontology. So apologies if we're a little out of the loop with what's going on in mainstream media.
And this is why I would say, more than apologies, we thank you, all of you, for asking the questions, for being the truth warriors, for getting out there and gathering the information and keeping us abreast of all of it. Like, we can't all do it all, right? So we so appreciate all of you information gatherers out there. Mom's gonna hit me with the dowsing rod if I don't stop talking.
No, I'm not. I was just like, Susan you've offered us to answer one of your two questions, so I'm just going to douse on using my rod here to see which one of the two questions wants to be answered today.
Rock and roll.
So let's just tune in here.
Left for Karen, right for Hitler.
Well, I'm going to go open, which is going to my right, is going to be a yes, and closed is a no.
Okay.
So in the name of the greater good, there it goes. It's starting to answer me already. In the name of the greater good of all, please indicate, is it most ideal for us to ask and answer, look at the question around Karen Reed at this time? Is this most ideal? Nope, that's a no. That's in the name of the greater good of all, is it most ideal for us to look at the question regarding Hitler? Okay, that gets a yes. So there we go. That's how we do it.
That is how we do it. We do it a lot.
Mostly with pendulum.
With pendulum.
And I did just looked over. I didn't have my pendulum here, but I have my dowsing rod. So there we go.
That's how it's done, folks.
Yeah.
I was just reflecting before we got on that I actually feel like we haven't been here in forever. And I know we did last week, but I just can't even. You guys, it's been such a crazy
much has happened for us. So
how have you all been?
A quick recap. We went over to Vancouver, and of course it was my birthday. And thank you very much for all the birthday wishes. It was a very powerful week because my birthday was kind of wedged in between these 2 days where we were basically going to Crystal's deceased grandfather's apartment and clearing all his things out. And that was very potent, emotional, revealing on a lot of levels, and really stirred us up in terms of looking at things around the family system and ancestry and healing of our lineage and so on. So, and this is her.
Yeah, she says our lineage. I mean, it's an interesting one, and she can explain how the lineage is related to her as well. But it was my father's father who passed away. Yeah, and I didn't have a close connection with him. He estranged himself mostly from our family, but nonetheless, next of kin, and honored to be so and to have this responsibility to care for the wrapping up of his life in a good way. So what a gift for all of us to do that, and not light work.
Not light work. So. Yeah. So it was like very interesting. It was my birthday, and also like, whoa, super Cody. Yeah. So we're just kind of recovering from that we got back on Saturday, basically. Yeah. You have a salt and pepper lineage. Kind of.
You know, we look like it kind of right now, but Mom always had dark hair too. I mean, if that's what you're referring to.
Yeah, I'm not a natural blonde. I'm a natural dark brunette, almost as dark as Crystal. I went gray in my, I guess, mid-30s, pretty much fully gray in my mid-30s. So I've been lightening, using natural dye, by the way, since then. And
I don't touch her hair. I mean, I don't color it. Anyhow, let's hang out and talk all about us. Not answer any of your questions.
Yeah, but
Just
it's
kidding.
interesting because I have said that it is relevant to me. Like I feel actually in some ways uh, deeply moved to show up and be part of the healing process around Crystal's father's lineage. And back in the day, I didn't understand what that was about. I was like, why am I so obsessed about this? Like, they're not even my family. But I've learned doing the ancestral healing work that I do that once they get onto the other side, we are all related. I mean, we are all related, but even still, the lines, once they're discarnate, really work together. And they also, sort of support each other interdimensionally because we are blood related, because she exists. So she's the blood link. And it's just fascinating. Like it really does have an influence. Anyway, we're sharing this because it's been a big part of our last week. And
Suzanne wants to know what hair color you use.
Oh, Herbitint. I use Herbitint. Oh, say it's not so, Shelley. You're not a natural blonde. Oh, I'm sorry, Ricky.
I mean,
well, you know what? I've been
she's
wearing
in
it
her
well.
Early 60s.
Yeah, I've been wearing it well now for gosh, a good more than a decade, probably close to 15 years. So I feel it feels natural to me now. It's so funny because I used to be like, so anti-blonde. I was so proud of being a brunette. And now I'm really proud of being a blonde, actually. So I've had both sides. Looked at life from both sides.
Will you share your hair color?
Oh, I did say Herbitint.
Herbitint, level 9.
Yeah, Herbitint level 9.
Level 9, the hard to find one. Okay, shall we get to some questions?
Let's get to some questions.
I've cleared the cards.
Okay, thanks, Crystal.
So do you want to go and I'll shuffle?
Sure.
Because we're gonna. I think we had. So
Ricky, Leo, we're going to get to your question because you asked this Leo. At the end of last time. So let's jump on with this question first.
2 souls.
Or 3.
2 or 3.
Gives you a very high frequency. You can control weather and so on. Now, this is interesting that this kind of segues with what we were just talking about with the lineages. And my sense is there is a connection between what we're channeling, what we're able to hold, and also what our, what ancestral lineages we are drawing on. And, Crystal has even just realized that she is seeing how she is holding a lot of different strains of ancestral lineage. She's learning a lot more about all the variety of people she comes from. And, you think about it like, oh, she's a Heinz 57, but actually how does she end up looking a lot like one particular lineage and really representing and actually being very called to show up and do healing around that particular lineage? This is something I've been working with for decades now and doing ancestral healing work. And so it feels to me like we can be holding several streams of, I want to say, lineages and soul streams at the same time. Some of us came in with these gifts, Leo, where we are complex beings. We aren't simple beings. We came in to be the bridges. And that high frequency comes from, it takes a lot of frequency to hold all of that, right? It's not just a given that you can do that. I think some people come in with those complex lineages having more than one soul stream and they can't handle it. And they end up, fracturing mentally or psychologically. So, and I've also felt like that has a lot to do with not knowing what to do with those gifts. And it sounds like you are working with your gifts. And that always makes it easier, I feel like, to, ground and come into your full self and work with those gifts and let that stream move through you. So let's see what it says here. Do you have 2 or 3 souls? Do you have 2 or 3 souls in you that give you a very high frequency? Okay, interesting. Interesting. What do you feel, Crystal? What are you getting around this?
I don't know.
I feel like more like 5.
Mm-hmm.
I feel more like you've got about 5 that are quite strong. It's interesting because they're even showing me something to do with the DNA strands. And what do we have again? Is it 12, 14? Somebody remind me. And so I think it's 12 strands, right? In what the known DNA that we're working with right now. So that would be like half of, a little less than half that's really activated. You have a lot of leaders, healers, teachers, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is the Hierophant is the spiritual guide. That's a positive version of it. It's pretty well aspected with that King of Wands here. So ancient traditions around working with things like frequency and weather, working with weather sensitivity and weather direction, ability to influence that.
It's interesting though, I get kind of like that it's like they are all uniting in this lifetime in one mission through you. And I also get that there's a part of you that's kind of also very like a new soul, like a young soul. So with this Page of Cups, so it's something about like being able to work through your some innocence and some enthusiasm in the place of your heart is where you're going to really what you're going to really lead from, because if you get too in the head with it, all the souls end up kind of like conflicting their missions. So it's like and that could lead to some energetic burnout for you.
Mm-hmm.
So really, really continue to come into your like innocence, your enthusiasm, your like lighthearted and playfulness around it.
Mm-hmm.
That is that high frequency,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And don't get too bogged down with I need to show up in this way. I need to utilize these gifts that I've been given and lead. Well, the leading comes from in this life from leading with the heart and leading with that.
I love that, Crystal. There is that sense of, sweetness, and I feel like in this lifetime you have designed it so that you are going to blend. You're going to blend these different soul streams, and just as Crystal said, you can't do that with us. Like, I don't want to say you can't do that with too much conscious intention. It has to be a very it's going to, like she said, it will burn you out. It comes from really being humble, being very innocent in it, and we realize that real power comes from that place anyway. Real power is gentleness. It is knowing ourselves well enough that we feel comfortable in our hearts to stay in that heart frequency, and then we navigate in a really safe, beautiful way where we're not hurting ourselves and others. We're not creating a whole lot of negative karma, and we're transmuting a lot. So yeah, this is cool. And I think your message, Leo, for you specifically, it can be taken for a lot of this community because so many of you are complex beings. Like, we just had this conversation last night and this morning about wow, when you look at our lineages, we took on doing a whole pile of work this lifetime, not just one or two, but like 6, 7, 8 of them, whatever, right? So yeah, 5, working 5, blending them, but working on their similarities as well in those 5 lineages, even if they are from different parts of the world. So anyway, there we go.
Yep. Very nice.
Super
Very
fun.
nice. And then I think we go on to Suzanne's question about switch it right up.
Okay, let's go back here.
Although, you know,
it kind of does.
No, go down.
Yeah, we're going to go to the, it kind of goes together in a way.
There we go. Was Hitler a bad person?
Demonized by mainstream media and political elites the same way Trump has. Well, I can disclose a little bit that I've worked on with a particular group in the UK. We've been doing some research, historical research. Yeah, I can't really disclose too much about it because they're writing a story about it, a book about it at some point, but it is looking at a lot of history related to elites in Europe and to different time periods, specifically that period between World War I and II. And what has come forward is that the whole creation of the Nazi Party is very interesting. It was a beautiful movement to begin with, which was based in returning to nature and the learning new ways of regenerative agriculture and coming back into good relationship with the land, and the Strum and Drum movement of the late 1800s and early 1900s, and then that got turned into the Labor Party in Germany, and then that got hijacked into the Third Reich agendas. So, you know, I believe that Hitler was part of that, whether he was just used as a puppet. Yeah, let's have a look.
Hello, Janine. Hello, Adele. Welcome.
Ricky, Suzanne.
All our people.
Interesting. What are you getting?
I mean, it's definitely like, you know, question, was Hitler a bad person? I feel like he was like each sort of manipulation along the way kind of tweaked him a little bit more. It like tweaked him out and tweaked him out and tweaked him out and tweaked him out. Like he really had like the whole world takeover piece. It, you know, like Mom says, it was originally designed for good, right? It was designed for the betterment of the world. And then there was all of these little kind of the way that he did with his takeover and the takeover of the Nazis. It's like he got taken over in that way as well, and brought into just like full puppetry, full manipulation. However, it does seem like it is almost a part of our our necessary path to
Mhm.
a new kind of sovereignty and a
I
new world.
I feel like he was removed way before. I feel like he started it and then it was someone else because he was given leave
Yeah.
to get out
Yeah.
probably even before the war started, is what I'm seeing. So I think he played a role.
Mm-hmm.
And like Crystal said, he had the temperament. It's interesting because it kind of links to Leo's question earlier, the complexity, right? These are complex characters, a Hitler, a Trump, or whatever. These are not just simple, like they can act kind of like very robotically, kind of one
Mm-hmm.
trackish, but they're very complex
Mm-hmm.
people.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you have that kind of complexity, you can either be utilizing it for the good or it can be hijacked because it's a lot to work with, right? So it's like, we know that all of the, kind of MK Ultra programs and so on, they look for the talented ones, the psychic ones, the ones that are like complex, have a lot of gifts, a lot of power already. And then they basically kind of neatly compartmentalize that stuff and give it a job in their agenda, and then spit the person out the other side. So, I really get this feeling that he wasn't in it all the way along. It
Mm-hmm.
just, he was a brand.
Mm-hmm.
And
Just like tea.
yeah, he was
Yeah.
just like utilized and then
Yeah.
goodbye. So, where he lived out his life, I'm not sure, but it feels like,
I wonder if he became a woman.
whoa.
I don't know. I just keep looking at it and being like, maybe, like as soon as
Or
you
if
said
he
that
was
he
a
got,
woman.
yeah.
Woo! We'll have to check and see what I know Janine has done deep dives on this before, so it'd be cool to find out how close we are to what she said.
Always. She's so good.
Mm-hmm.
She's so good.
Yeah.
There's an ABC documentary. Hitler was a lover of indigenous peoples and idolized them. The German people in Bavaria have a theme park focused on Indians. Weird.
Oh, I mean, this is so common with Germans and Indians.
Yeah.
It's
And JFK held very good thoughts of
Mhm.
Hitler, right?
Oh, so Suzanne is saying I totally agree, according to what I researched and feel. So yeah, I mean, and this isn't really, I feel for so many of us, this is not about getting the right answer. It's about asking the right questions and more questions. Like everything opens us up to, it's interesting when I'm working with this group around doing this historical, like we're basically solving some cold cases in European history.
They're the coolest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just like a mystery tour, we're just going in and there's always like, kind of like cliffhangers and we don't know what's happening next. It isn't about, oh, I've got it all figured out. It's about, wow, there's so much more going on in our world than what we've been led to believe. And when we understand how mysterious it all is, but instead of seeing, like I always say, don't look for the absolute truths because you're never really going to be able to pin it down, but look for the patterns, look for the obvious patterns. There's always, folks, obvious patterns. So when you're doing your historical research and putting these pieces together, please do not be discouraged if something does like, oh, well, that contradicts that. Don't worry about that. Just put it all in the pile and see the patterns emerging and know that you're being shown the patterns. The details are impossible to pin down every single accurate detail. And, it's almost as though I even have seen the way I do it as a Gemini, that things change with time, like timelines are shifting. So if we're trying to pin down every detail, by the time we pin it down, it's already not there. It's not accurate anymore. So,
well, and timelines are opening up too,
right?
Because you pin down one detail and then it's like, and how could you possibly go in all directions at once?
Exactly.
I mean, we experience that a lot with all of the genealogy digging and stuff that you've been doing. So
totally.
where are you going?
Well,
I
Ricky
had
has
this
a
next question
This one?
lined up there. Yeah.
Okay. Well, this is cool because it kind of fits. I mean, we might be stretching
Thank
a
you,
bit, but
Suzanne.
thanks for your question, Suzanne, as always.
Thanks for being here.
Ricky, has all government law enforcement agencies been cleaned up of criminal cabal criminals inside law enforcement agencies, state and federal agencies? Well, I mean, this is kind of a bit like the Karen Reed, like there's something to do with exposing law enforcement, I'm guessing, from the little bit I just scoped into it quickly. So yeah.
I mean, this is what we're here for this year, especially, is the exposure. It's a hugely exposure year. I was listening to that interview with Pam Gregory this morning. Oh, we just gotta love her. And it's really lovely because, I mean, she doesn't do astrological readings for anyone anymore, but I just kept listening going, how amazing is it that we have Meg on our team that can be Meg and Jens, what a powerful duo, just to like be the astrology and just like so the human heart of all of it. I just love them, so I was grateful that we have that as part of the team. Okay, so
pick one, sweetheart.
Yes.
Government law enforcement agencies, have they been cleaned
and
up of criminal cabal?
What she was saying was that this is the year of exposure, astrologically. Okay. Ready? Ready, everyone? You know what? Can we make the cards bigger?
Oh yeah, let's do that.
Yeah.
We forgot. Sorry.
Whoops.
Apologies.
We got talking and forgotten. Okay. Okay. Oof.
Okay.
So
I'm going to say overall no. And part of that no is because there's the design to have them trip on their own BS, right?
So we feel that quite often, don't we?
It's on its way out, right? We've got 2 5s here. So there's a chaos, and I think they're definitely looking over their shoulder. They're worried for sure, right? Look at that. They are worried. They're like, uh-oh, where do we go?
We keep losing players here.
Yeah, and
they keep getting taken out.
They can tell the hammer's dropping, right? And I think a lot of people have either switched sides or been removed, right? 6 of Wands moving out of troubled water. Sorry, 6 of Swords moving out of troubled water. But now we're down to the real sticky, the real nitty gritty ones. Yeah. Like, it's almost like the higher, so it's like layers, like peeling an onion or something. And we're getting into the core people now that have been the biggest baddies, because a lot of the protectors have been, the ones that kind of, they're showing me almost like we're in that inner sanctum now, because all those outer players have been either exposed, taken down. And of course, we know this is how the dark force works. They throw their own people under the bus when it's no longer convenient. Oh, you're going to be exposing us, under the bus you go, right? So, but eventually they end up surrounded and they have nobody to protect them. That's what I'm kind of feeling.
Yeah, and I'm feeling that we just continue, like we take our own journeys and we continue to wait for them to hang themselves, right? And it's just like, whoa, are we ever taking, like, look at all this light over here, right? So it's like, move towards the light, move towards the sun, keep like as we clean this out, what are we replacing this spaciousness with? Right? Look at the Fool's coming out and he's going, whoa, there's all this spaciousness, all this air, all this light that's coming. So, who are we as we step into that light? How are we taking that journey into this cleaned up space that's being created? So, and how are we getting ourselves out of this sticky 3D-ness, the
Yeah.
sticky icky that they have
This
compressed us into.
this also feels like we're starving them out. Like
Yeah.
we're starving them out. They don't have a lot to feed on anymore, right? Because they're all about fear. They're all
Yeah.
about like manipulation through fear and power dominance. And their circle of influence is getting smaller and smaller and smaller, is what I'm being shown.
Well, and yes, and exactly. The starving out is like, I look at these and they're just two beings that just don't need a lot. They're like, "Pff, whatever. I'm great. Like I got the clothes on my back and a little bit of resource, and I'm just gonna like take a journey and go see the world or whatever." Like everyone is walking into their own path and their own purpose, and it's like we don't need their management anymore. We don't need their systems anymore. So we are starving them out by
Yeah.
omitting the necessity of them in general and our
Totally.
addictions to their food.
Yeah, exactly. They're programmed everything, right?
Yeah, the ego food.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's interesting. I'm being shown, back in the day when the criminal cabals, and I think about like a mafia type of situation where it was always about, it was always based on dividing people and making them afraid of each other. And then, okay, we provided the person that was after you and your money and your business or whatever. And then we're going to provide the protection from the one that we sent in to do the dirty work. There's something in that. You get caught in it because you're trying to create this like stable, safe, secure. And this is just like, oh, you want it? You want my business? Take it. I'll go just start something else. Like people just going, I'm not playing that game.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels like it has to do with being really natural, being natural humans, being able to pivot, being able to be like, yeah, you can't scare me into, you want to take what I've got? Take it.
Yeah. Like I've got everything I need in my back pocket. Right. Because I can become like who I am can be, it's about who you are and how you can connect with that and with other people, right? So that's going to be our real value. Our value is in our own being. And we've been so programmed to place our value externally. So who are the leaders in that? Just like we were talking about, we're all the leaders in that, right? So,
and if they had, like, I know you think, oh yeah, well, we can't just keep giving up our businesses and walking away and saying have it, but if everyone, or if even 80% of the people had done that, right? If the mafia came into a neighborhood and 80% of the people just said, yeah, whatever, take it, I don't care. They wouldn't have had anything to lever. They had no leverage, right? The reason they had leverage was because people bought into fear. And that's how the bullies succeed. They're bullies. And so they only can feed or manipulate if you buy into they're going to steal something from you. You're like, whatever. I'm a resource being. I can create something new because, you're not playing that intimidation game.
So, and I see too, what we're doing is we're balancing like the freeness of letting go of control. And we're also balancing the discipline of little rituals daily that exercise this type of reality, like what we're walking into, what we are, bringing into that space that's being cleared. And this is really like a card of little habits and little rituals, right? So it's like, how are we going to, it's not so much about how you walk the path, but who we are walking that path. So in answer to that question, has all government law enforcement agencies been cleaned of criminal cabal inside law enforcement agencies, local, state, and federal agencies? I mean,
yeah, Alex
on the way
Booker
out.
was saying, good point, Crystal. I don't hear about any discussion who will take the reins once we throw out the corruption.
Yeah.
So this is kind of where we're at right now, right?
Yeah. And this is the little ritual, like, you know, what I was what I was observing today in the show that I watched with Pram Gregory is that the little rituals of calling, coming into the heart center every night, and then every morning waking up and asking for magic to be brought forward in the world. And it's those little rituals, right? And everyone's going to have, you know, the ones that get offered in, and the ones that come to them, and the little dreams that we have, and all that kind of stuff. But how are we, why are we wanting this control to be cleared? What are we doing with that? That's what we're practicing. Little ways on the daily.
Susie says, I'm like that. If you want what I have, go for it. It's just things.
Yes.
So, you know, and it is, yeah, it's exhausting to think about being bullied around like that and having to move and move and move and let go and let go and let go. But it's also liberating. There's something liberating in learning to pivot. And if enough of us do it, I'm not suggesting we live like this permanently as human beings. But if enough of us do it with real courage and true heart-centered compassion, generosity, gratitude in our hearts, you know, it'll starve them out. They won't be able to survive for very long, right? And then we can get about the business of building things that are beautiful, flexible, sustainable, that are not stealing energy, stealing power, exploiting resources and labor and so on. Like, you know, it is idealistic, but it is also like it's realistic, provided we can not get intimidated at this important juncture, right?
We'll move out of the troubled waters of that as well, right? I worry, who can we find that can replace Trump, who loves America and people as much as him?
That's a good question, Susie. And I see your Susan, I see your question, and we'll just see if there's any more that come in from other people.
Yeah.
We'll go to Susie.
Yeah. I'm worried. Who can we find that can replace Trump, who loves America and people as much as him? Me. I'm just kidding. The point of that was that I'm sure there's so many beings out there, but you know, one thing that we talk about and is it's not even so much that he loves America and the people so much, but he's just so willing to go out and stir shit up, you know, with America, like standing up for America and the people, and that is that's the thing. Oh yeah. The one. Thank you, Electrical Girl. I knew we were missing something. Definitely, we will answer that question about Pat King.
Okay,
you got it. Don't, right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, totally.
Okay, so Mama.
I'm just gonna divide them into 3, and then you can pick the top one.
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of middle ground piles being picked. Okay. Trump is the best troll ever. His wife. Okay.
Whoa.
Aw, thanks, Suzanne. Okay, we're gonna. I'll put that up after. She's so cute. Okay. We love you too, honey. Okay.
All right. Please excuse the zzz sound in the background.
There's no zzz. They can't hear that.
Oh.
We have construction next door.
Non-stop.
We can hear it though, can't we? Oh, jeez.
Things are under construction in our world, folks. It's a metaphor. Okay. So interesting. Do you see? This reminds me of that other question where it was like those 2 really bright cards on this side and the really dark crowds
Mhm.
over here.
Mhm.
So it's
It's
almost,
interesting though, because that's
yeah,
kind of the answer, isn't it?
it
So
is. It's like, are we going to need the same kind of leadership if
that's
we
what I
are
was thinking.
sovereign and self-reliant?
Yeah.
So it's a temp, right? It's a temporary situation. How long? 5 years, 10 years, 2 years?
Yeah.
Swords,
We're
right?
definitely in the crossroads of it right now, though. Like these next 2 years, we're really gonna see.
Mm-hmm.
Probably see. It's interesting that this card comes up here because this is the same card that came up around Hitler as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
So um, these two actually. So it's very curious. I wonder, like, if the big T man has already been
Shifted out.
shifted out or is on the
Janina's
way.
talked about that a lot.
Yeah.
So, interesting, like almost as though there's a sovereignty coming where that will be, that kind of sort of centralized power dominant authority will be less relevant. It's just not going to be as relevant. So we're growing, we're evolving into needing less of that kind of leadership. The leadership comes from like soul level. And I know that sounds really woo-woo, way out there, but folks, think about what's happened to us, in the last 5 or 10 years, like things that we're talking about now that we
Mhm.
never would have grokked then.
Mhm.
So it's reasonable to think in the next 5 to 10
Yeah.
that this is just becoming less and less relevant and necessary. It's
Yeah.
like if we're designing new systems that run themselves because they are, decentralized, which is the age of Aquarius. They are about like sovereignty and about like, everyone having leverage money to work with to build new systems. Wow, what could it look like? I feel like in the best regard, Trump is providing us with the safety latch or the training wheels to keep us on track here, just to get through this really challenging phase. But the goal is not to go back to some kind of power dominant authority figure that leads us. It is to become self-directed, self-actualizing, sovereign beings, is what I'm saying.
Absolutely. Agreed. And I feel like with these two cards, you know, that there's also this more feminine, more intuitive way of rulership that's coming in, and not necessarily to say that it's going to be his wife that's going to take over or that a woman is going to step in, but I feel like um, that there's going to be a lot more female ruling and empowerment that's going to come up the pipe.
Well, it's interesting you're speaking about Baron Trump as well, because I do feel like there is another, child,
Yeah,
younger
that's what
person
I was gonna
stepping
say.
in.
Yeah.
But I encourage you all to not think of this as he's replacing Trump and now we're going to settle down into like 30 years of safety and security and things settling. It's like we're on such a rocket ship energetically around evolution and consciousness right now that the safety is not in going backwards to old systems, it's going forward to new systems. So is Baron Trump going to be part of that transitional stepping stone? I'm not sure, but yeah, Therese saying, right? I hope people wake up and think for themselves instead of following people like dogs on a leash. I mean, and if you look back in history, we haven't always had centralized power dominant authority leadership. It hasn't always been the case. And, you know, it often gets more and more, I want to say, sort of stilted, and we become more dependent on it right when a civilization is about to transform into something new. So it's the natural tendency to want to hang on tighter to our leaders and go, help us, help us, help us, help us. This is scary. But I feel like if we can see what's in front of us and how exciting it is to expand, like, you know, we've talked so much about having the financial, basically the sovereign financial trusts to be able to build new earth and design it the way we feel it ought to be designed. And I've been saying for years, get started where you can right now. Start your plans, start your vision, start your business model, start your mission statements, get your groups together, because the money is going to be available. We just have to know where to look for it. And it's not just going to get deposited blankly into everybody's accounts, because that is asking for chaos. Not everyone is going to be able to like handle that. And basically, you can't, how are you going to know who to give it to and who not to give it to? So I've been saying for years, it's going to be available in the form of subsidies and grants and so on that you will need to apply for. And you'll need to have your trusts, you'll need to become sovereign, have your trusts, apply for these things, set your vision really intentionally. You know, we're working with a couple of clients that are setting up foundations and building these visions and dreams with or without that money. Like they're saying, I'm going to create this and I am going to hold this frequency band, and funders will come, we will find it. And that's the beauty of where we are. We see we're this close to being able to go, oh, yep, you know, a bit of this, build it and they will come, or build it and the frequency, the money, the support will show up.
Thumbs up to that. Here we go. Electrical girl. Could you look at Pat King? Is he under control, or is he truly a freedom fighter? I think he's genuine, but who knows? Yeah, man, right? We haven't been looking at Pat King in a while. So many things have taken precedence. And I'm glad that we're looking at him. Let's have a look at Mr. Pat King. How you doing there, buddy? Are you truly a freedom fighter? I'm spunky today.
Here we go, my dear.
Is anybody else spunky today? Okay. Some days.
The first one.
Yeah, I was going to say that one too. It's the ontology of the tarot deck separation.
All righty.
Okay, here we go. Mama?
You go first.
I think he's good. Okay. Well, I feel like they're trying to control him. I feel like he's definitely gotten a lot of offers, or a lot of like he's kind of had to play the long game in it a bit, I think. Kind of similar to our Kennedy there.
Mm-hmm.
Because kind of similar to RFK, like I really think that he's kind of like getting in and playing a bit of a long game as a freedom fighter. Like you kind of like keep your enemies close kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I get actually that he is really led by like a freedom fighter of nature and the world, and willing to really do the work that it takes um to be a freedom fighter in
Mm-hmm.
this world nowadays. Like, holy, what are we fighting for? What is freedom, right? Freedom
Mm-hmm.
is our reclamation of our natural law and unity with the
Mm-hmm.
great mother and and the greater systems, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people got to put in the work to do that, and it looks like that's kind of what he's doing. But we may think that he's kind of been put on hold in that right now. I think he's cooking it up. I think he's cooking up a plan, and it's going
Mm.
to involve many, right?
Yeah,
There's a team maybe even working for him.
I mean, it feels like the force of the gentle, like slow, steady, you know. It's now, I feel like his major contribution has already taken place. And now his contribution is about hanging in for the long game and eventually being part of like kind of the legal showdown, right? Like but it seems like he's got the good formula of making it about being like productive and joyful and staying just under the radar enough to keep that frequency going. And I really agree with Crystal. The long game is
Funny,
where
you switched them. Cute.
I did switch.
Yeah, love it.
The long game is, he's made his big splash, and now he's just got to finish that trajectory and not get taken out
Mm-hmm.
or sideswiped
Mm-hmm.
by it. And I think he'll do it.
Mm-hmm.
And how he's going to do it is by it, like he's on the, oh, we're enjoying this process now. Now it's about productivity, celebration, team building. It's not just getting things done, it's the way in which you get things done, which makes you untouchable, right? It makes you, like, if you do it with that productivity and high frequency celebration and joy in your heart, you really have succeeded.
He just started a YouTube channel. Oh, good to know. Thank you. Check that out. He's going to start sharing insights about the trucker convoy from 2022.
So great. And what a great idea, because we, like I said, the splash has been made and we can go back and like retell that story over and over and over again. Why not? I say yes to that.
And I feel like it's not going to be so much that he's a freedom fighter, but he's a freedom liver. Like he's going to be living the freedom now. Like, what are we doing with all that freedom that we fought for? Because we could feel like, oh, but it was so much we didn't succeed and yada yada. But we really did. We really have. So like, what are we doing with that now? What's he doing as like a man who lives in that freedom that they fought for? Do we just need to keep fighting? Maybe not, right?
Well, definitely hold the line.
Yeah.
Hold the line, but yeah. And how do you hold the line? How do you hold the line? You stay in the trajectory that you've already cast. He cast his trajectory and he's going to stick with it to the end. Yeah. Like Crystal said, the long game. I love it. Yeah. I love it. And that is part, we go back to that, the bullies and the mafia energy, the criminal cabal energy. That's what they don't like. They want people to either run afraid or try harder to fight. And what they don't like is people that make their bold move, and then just ride on that move and keep in that frequency and not go, yeah, that's good enough. Like, I've done my part and now I'm going to hold that and make sure that I live it. Like Crystal said, wow, isn't that a new way of looking at life?
I wonder too about his mama. does anyone know what his mama is like? And if he comes from a line of powerful women. I'd be curious to know if he has like sisters or if his mama, if she's involved and in support of him and a leader in her own way. So I'd be curious about that.
Totally. Yeah, that's a great point because we've got the Three of Cups.
Well, since you moved them over here, I was like, oh, interesting here.
And the threes, the energy is, it's synchronicities and it's keeping everything flexible and moving, right? 3 is structure, it's stabilizing, but it is flexible, not like the 4, which is very square. The 3 has that dynamic energy of spinning, keeping, like being able to pivot, being flexible, being in the flow, in the synchronicity of life.
Which is interesting. Yeah, and interesting as well. We've got 3 2s here. So, the convoy being in 2022, we have those 3 2s. So just like it's like the real harmonizing of the balance and the duality and all of that, right? So interesting.
So cool. Thanks for your comments, everybody.
Mojo, thanks for being here, even though you're late. Lovely to see you.
Yeah. Hold the line by doing
Watch it later. Lots of good stuff.
Of what government tells us. All right. Now, Therese, I see your question. We're just coming up to the hour, so we can't take it this week, but would you please jump on next week and bring this question to the top of the pile? If you can, that it's a great question, and I'd like to give it a good look here. Will the land of America
do we know how to
back?
Screenshot it? What if you can't make it, Therese?
Well, she'll make it. You'll make it to one of them, or someone will bring it in. Just like Canada and Australia will be divided into hundreds of smaller countries, and America would be only a region that, just like Europe. What a great starting point for next week. We will definitely dive into that, and basically, I think we're wrapping up.
That's us in a nutty shell there.
Nutty shell. She's funny. Yay. Well, it's been lovely to share with all of you as always. And you know where to find us. We'd love to see you again next week. Bring a friend. Thank you, Leo.
Thank you, everyone. Great job, everyone. Great questions. Thanks for being here. Have a beautiful week.
Blessings as always.
Always.
Bye for now, everybody.